and welcome to today's Q&A session. I'm Gitu Kasungkola, and I'm joined by some remarkable people. Jean-Paul Moody, who is the director of the film Sifa, and Sifa herself, the main character in the film, as well as Dalia Brogneri. I hope I said that right, from the Adonis Musaiti project. How are you all?
Good, thank you. Thanks.
Very well, thank you.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to be with you all today, because this film is not just a film for film's sake. It's really a film that carries a lot of heart because of Sifa's story, and it's a story that is important the world over, because there are so many people who find themselves displaced and are refugees in other countries. So I'm just curious about what drew you to this particular subject matter, Jean-Paul.
Where do I start? As I may have mentioned earlier, I was connected somehow to someone that was working with Galia. You mentioned the project. Do I want to get involved? I chatted to him beforehand, like some time back, regarding the issues of refugees and our takes on it. We had a long conversation, I remember back then. Then when he spoke to me again about this project coming along, I was very keen to get involved. And in that process, we were developing sort of what the approach was. And in that discussion, I asked him to look for or check within the project a story that would resonate with an audience, but also tell one that could really not just be a story about a person that migrated from another part of Africa, but also could connect to an audience and could also tell a first-hand account of what a refugee typically goes through, from why they were displaced right through to the journey and how they were received down here. So Sifa's story really resonated with that sort of approach that we wanted to take. It was a story that we eventually, when I got to know Sifa, we chatted about it. She was comfortable with us telling her story. As you can see from the film, we chatted to her mom as well, visiting their home. They were very hospitable. And yeah, I felt that it was a story that needed to be told, because many South Africans, they hear about a foreign national from Africa coming to their shores, and they have a lot of negative perceptions about what they're doing here, and they don't realize there's a massive backstory to how they got here, and most of the time it's not out of choice. So I felt strongly that her story could represent quite a few others' journeys in coming to South Africa. And also one of the key intentions behind the film was to give South Africans perspective on their perceptions of refugees, and also to impact on the spike of xenophobia that did occur in South Africa some time back, and obviously still exists to a certain extent. So yeah, I just wanted to get involved in getting the story out there.
And I think that it definitely, I mean, also with COVID, now that Encounters is online, it does also allow the film to be seen by so many more people. And I believe that the message will definitely resonate and travel as you had hoped it would. And how was the process of documentary filmmaking for you, Sifa, having your story told like this?
At first I don't know, because I'm really camera shy. So I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's coming to my home. They're gonna learn about me and everything. But like, I just like, it was really a nice process because I got to share my story. I got to tell my side and let other people also hear from it, because I think that like if we share our stories to other people as refugees or any other person that has gone through things, like sharing our stories that will enable another person to learn from our experiences, and it can also shape or like strengthen other people's opinions and values, because like JP said, like there are many people who have different stereotypes about foreigners or refugees. So I think just by sharing my story out there, I think it will enable to change another person's opinion on refugees and their struggles, and they get to see that refugees also do go, they went through a lot of things, and they deserve to be treated in a certain way and not in a
Mm.
negative aspect.
No, I completely agree with you. And for the Adonis Musati project, Galia, what has the documentary meant for the project itself and the work that you do?
Well, we do a lot of work with young people, and I think for me it's inspirational to see, you know, a documentary like that. And you know what Sifa does is she shows us also that our past does not define our future, because despite the hardships and the difficulties, you know, she's showing young people from, you know, whatever circumstances they come from, they can survive, and not only survive but thrive and make something amazing of their lives, you know. And here she is studying to be a human rights lawyer, you know, to make a difference in South Africa, not just for refugees but for South Africans as well. So I think it's a story of a heroine.
It truly is. Truly, truly is. How is the law degree going, Sifa?
It's going great. I'm learning new things every day.
I'm so happy. Can I give you a call if I need some legal aid one day?
Of course. Of course.
And what I also enjoy about this story, because it's a human story, and talking about what, taking from what you've just said, Galia, about how your past doesn't have to define you. Jean Paul, you became a filmmaker a bit later on in life. And, you know, if you had continued where you started, maybe we wouldn't have the film Sifa today, you know? So how has that journey of, you know, redefining yourself, as it were, been for you as you journeyed on your trajectory?
Yeah, well, look, my early part of my career was spent in the marketing and advertising world, which is like chalk and cheese what my headspace is right now. So I mean, just like Sifa, when she was in DRC, a perception and a vision of what reality back then has evolved from back then to now, because she's overcome certain things. So likewise, my headspace was totally different back then, and I decided to make a change and pivot into a more creative space where I can you know, do things that I feel passionate about. So I will relate the story back to Sifa, where I'm saying like she's also like pivoted in a way from what opportunities that she may have or may not have had, to now embracing and finding out, because from chatting to her, she's quite resourceful. She you know, she'll find out what she needs to do, and she's quite a determined young lady as well. So likewise, you know, I think it's also a story of doing what you feel that you need to do in life. And she's also enabling others to, as she detailed, like if it impacts one or two or many people, she'd have made a difference as well.
I think it is important, because any kind of change does always kind of begin quite close to you. If you want to see something change, then you need to, as Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. And you know what, and that is also kind of, I think, maybe the English word is gone. It has completely left me.
It's okay.
The foundation of not just maybe your work, Jean-Paul, but also the Adonis Mosati project, but building upon everything that you have learned, Sifa, maybe even about yourself through this process. Where do you see, aside from as, you know, a human rights lawyer and an activist as you are, what other things do you think this documentary may have opened you up to that you didn't imagine initially?
Can you repeat that question again, please?
I'm just wondering what kinds of other things and possibilities being part of the documentary may have opened up for you that you may not have initially thought you might be able to venture into before.
Oh, well, for me, I guess it's just that the story sharing part. I mean, like, a person goes through a lot of things, and sometimes they don't have a way to express themselves. So the documentary really gave me a platform to express myself and talk about things that I couldn't have spoken to about with another person. And with that, that is like with that I showed my family the documentary, and they were really proud that I was able, like, to speak about the difficulties that I went through. And for me, that's really important because I got to confront my past demons, if I could say.
Mm. So just on that, Jean-Paul, when you get into very personal, very, I'll say, raw spaces in your documentary work, how do you, what kinds of processes or methods do you have as a filmmaker in place to help soothe those raw moments afterwards? Especially, I mean, with documentary, because I mean, in fictional filmmaking, for example, when actors get into character, they have their own kind of rituals to de-roll and, you know, kind of distance themselves from the emotions. But here, Sifa, for example, is dealing with her very real experiences and very real emotions. And so after shooting a difficult part, how do we help her afterwards?
Yeah, look, it's just about creating space. It's not about forcing anything. It's not about dictating how or what. It's just about creating the space and communicating that nothing is right or wrong. It's and the boundaries is created by, in her case, with her. She takes it as far as she wants to. And just creating that space that to be as open as far as she wants to be, but at the same time, like asking very particular questions to open her up if she wants to open up. It can be very sensitive, but obviously through communication and a certain type of communication and letting her know the intention behind it. I've told her a few times that the intention was always for to highlight her story, but also to highlight others' stories through her. That because what I found out, not subsequently, but throughout, that there are many stories that need to be told like hers that she's now representative of.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful thing that she's doing there. So just to give her the sense of context, allowing her the space, putting her at ease to actually be comfortable to actually relay that story. Yeah, so those things, I think, in combination was given her the opportunity to open up, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. And with Galia, because you work with so many youngsters, were, or I suppose for maybe both yourself and Jean-Pierre, how did choosing Sifa come about, of all the kids and the stories that were available to you?
So storytelling is quite a big part of our programs, and so we've done quite a lot of digital stories with our youth leaders, and Sifa was one of our youth leaders. So running other support group programs for younger kids, and one could see immediately, even from the the digital story, there was an ability to really, people could identify in so many different ways, not just as a refugee, but as a human being.
Mm.
And, yeah, she was willing. She was willing to do it. So I think that those were good reasons. She's able to tell a story, and she was willing to share, and that's it's a good combination.
Definitely. Definitely, given the subject matter, given how heavy it is, it definitely needs to come from a willing and open place as well. Thank you so much for giving us the story. Sifa, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us in the way that you did. And Jean-Paul, thank you for presenting her and the story of the many other refugees behind her so masterfully, so delicately. I think one last thing that I'm curious about is how you curated rather the score for the film, because there's so much emotion and so much that is told as well from the music that you chose in the film. How did you choose that music, and how was that process as well?
Yeah, look, it goes according to the mood, eh? It's something that's almost intuitively chosen as you go along. This project wasn't we didn't have abundant resources and funding for it, so we had to make do with what we could.
Mm-hmm.
And but even in that sense, there are much resources available that you can access, that you just have to have a sense of feel that something works. So I was fortunate enough to access some resources that was available to me. So the sound design I looked after as well, and I feel strongly about sound within the scope of filmmaking because it's such a powerful means of telling a story through almost a vibration, if you will, that carries a story or a dialogue or a communication of sorts. So yeah, so well noted. The music is very specifically chosen for each specific scene in there to either bring it up or bring it to a specific mood and feeling. Yeah, and even so the music and sound design was, it was very particularly chosen for it. Yeah.
Okay. And is this something that we can expect to see often or more in your upcoming works? What are you working on now?
Most definitely. I've been speaking to Golia about doing something, because this is a short.
Yes.
And we didn't intentionally go into it with even submitting it to Encounters or any documentary festival. I just, as I said, the intention from the get-go was to get the message out there to as many people as possible. And I thought how to do that is through the best means, which is story. So I was very lucky that Galia and her team accepted that my idea of taking it is in a documentary format. So I've also been in discussion with her subsequently about possibly getting funding for a longer length project that could go more in depth as to, because there's many issues within the scope of refugees and the journeys that they go through, and that we weren't allowed to actually delve into that deep in with this specific one. So yeah, I've been chatting to Galia about possibly producing something that's of a more in-depth, longer nature that can tackle the issue properly, because I think it's a conversation that should be ongoing. And yeah, so, but yeah, within sound design, definitely, that's definitely gonna pull through with whatever I do. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, the last time that you were involved with Encounters, you had something fictional on the horizon. How is that going?
The last time I had something at Encounters was the Black Christ. I think it was the documentary,
Yes.
and that was mainly documentary with fictional reenactments. That, yeah, yeah, a very different project. That was also a feature-length documentary. But yeah, things have evolved quite a bit since then in terms of both the filmmaking and the way I do things, and I'm sure it will continue to evolve and improve as well.
And
so,
and please do continue to share it with us, because we'd love to see more of it. And the project that you and Galia are in conversations with, we'd also really love to see what comes out of that explorative journey. I wish each of you all the best with every single one of your big endeavors that you're undertaking, Sifa. I will be calling you, girl. Don't you don't you worry. I'm going to take you up on that offer. But I also won't get into trouble on purpose, okay? I promise. Thank you so much to all of you for your time today. Thank you so much to the sponsors and partners of Encounters. Thank you everyone for joining us. Would you like to share your social media handles for everyone so that they can keep abreast with the work that you're doing and follow you and support you? We can start with Jean-Paul.
Oh, gosh, which one? You know, I'm trying to think. I got a Twitter handle. It's at ZA Jean-Paul. I think I'll leave it at the Twitter handle for now.
Twitter's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at strangemood.co.za if that helps in terms of a web URL. Strangemood.co.za. Yeah.
Strange movies. Strangemood.co.za.
Strange, yeah. Strange mood, yeah.
Yes. Galia, for Adonis Musati. I think you're muted still.
They can have a look at our website at adonismusatiproject.org.
Okay, great. Sifa, would you like to share?
Thanks so much.
Well, mine is just, there's really nothing on my social media.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine. I'm also a little bit of a hermit. I'm no good at this stuff. But Encounters is, on the other hand. So please do come to our website, www.encounters.co.za. Our social media handles are there. The festival schedule and everything that we're up to is on there. So we at Encounters will see you everywhere virtually this year. Please do enjoy the festival at large. And thank you guys once more for joining me today.